Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Retail Talks. I am your host, Kody Fitzgerald, and today we're bringing you another masterclass, this time on Macy's Corporation. And again, really, we want to bring these bite sized chunks, really just summarizing some of the key points that we're looking at within each of these companies, with really the biggest one, just really looking at what are they spending their marketing dollars on? Is there anything interesting we can find, from where they're spending their marketing dollars? Looking at that in-store versus direct-to-consumer ratios and just any other interesting facts we can find. So let's dive into Macy's. So their footprint store-wide is 783 stores. So one of the things, this is actually one of the interesting points that I did not realize is that Macy's owns Bloomingdale's. I didn't know that. They also own another chain called Blue Mercury that has 160 of those 783 stores. So the way it breaks down is Macy's is at 566 stores, Bloomingdale's has 57 stores, and Blue Mercury has 160, which I did not realize that. Um, so really, the bulk of it is within Macy's. So the way the revenue breaks down is they did $24 billion in revenue in 2022. The accessories section, which obviously we work with a lot of shoe retailers, I was kind of surprised, and that was 9 billion, which shoes is included in that. So roughly, what would that be? Um, about 35 to 40% of their revenue is coming from just accessories, things like fragrances, um, obvious accessories like socks and belts and different things and hats. But a bulk of that is more than likely going to be shoes. So they're moving, a lot of shoes. Um, the women category, which really just goes into more of the apparel, is 14 billion of that 24. So, really, really heavy portion of that. The men's and kids at 5 billion and home and other at 4. So collectively though, the women category makes up 60 to 70% of their sales, which is, what we would expect, and then men and home rounding that out as well as some kids. One of the things I found pretty interesting was their direct to consumer and really in store ratios. I would have thought it would have been a little bit more on the direct to consumer side, but you think of those big department stores and a lot more was in store. So 67% of their purchases and sales is happening in store, 33% is happening online or direct to consumer. Um, their revenue to marketing, thought this was pretty interesting. Again, showing a very strong percentage of their revenue going towards marketing. Like I said, $24 billion they did in revenue in 2022, and 1.3 billion was spent on marketing, rounding that out at 5.4%. So again, we're going to hone on this every single one of these episodes because I find it very interesting when we are talking to retailers where they some of them take a lot of pride in saying, "Oh yeah, we don't spend any money on marketing." And it's like, I think you're just really, it depends on what your goals are within your business, but I think that you are really hampering your growth potential in your area by not spending more on marketing. Um, and again, look at your percentages based on your revenue here in 2023. Look at what you did in 2022. Look at what you spent percentage in 2023. Was it 5.4%? If it was only 1.5% or 2%, how can you expect to compete? Where let's say you spent, let's just take an exact third of 5.4, so roughly, about 1.8%. How can you expect to compete as a retailer when you are spending a third? They're spending 3 times more than you. If you're spending 1.8% of your revenue on marketing, they're spending 3 times more than you on their marketing. And they're a multi-billion-dollar company. When they are spending basically $100 million a month on their marketing, how can you even expect to compete in your local market if you're not even relevant within your advertising? Just really something to strongly consider and think about. Um, Always love looking up this stat of how many ads are they running. This one was kind of blew me away a bit. Macy's is running 1,200 ads on Facebook. Bloomingdale's is running 150 ads. And the Macy's one, obviously they sell thousands and thousands of different products between all their different categories. So they're getting a lot of that content from the brands more than likely. But, I think one of the things I always do notice, though, in these larger national chains is they have less organic content. I think as an organization, one of my pieces of advice to these organizations is how can you get more local content in the area of the Macy's store to make it more contextual to the person in that community seeing the ads. I guarantee their revenue would go from 24 billion to probably 30 billion. They'd have their biggest year ever if they made the advertising contextual to the area seeing it, because it's just, general, women by a pool in bathing suits or, people working out. It's just very, very, very general advertising provided by the brands. It is not catered to the local Tulsa, um, Raleigh, North Carolina. I don't know if they have a Macy's, but, it's not specific to those areas. And if they did, that would be huge. Just some other interesting points that we found. They have 24 private label brands. So, for those of you retailers out there wanting to bring in your own products and private label those, that certainly is a direction they've always probably gone, but 24, is a lot. They really hit on personalized offers and communication from a marketing standpoint. So, one of the things that we help people with here at Omni with Omni Lightning is making the marketing and therefore the targeting with the segmentation of your data more personalized to the person. So we go over this example pretty much every time, but they really hit on it as a top 5 point of differentiation inside their annual report, which I thought was really interesting. And that's things like sending people an email for your top spenders, sending somebody a text message based on what they bought, showing somebody a Facebook ad based on what they bought. If they bought the On shoes, show them the On ad. It just makes sense. But it's how can you personalize that to the person seeing the ad? Because your ad is going to convert at such a higher rate when you are showing something personalized. They're off mall expansion. So they now have 10 stores, Market by Macy's and Bloomies, that got 30 points higher average rating for customer experience. So they're really drawing in their footprint, drawing in that selection, expediting the purchasing process and making it simpler for people to buy. And those stores are going to really expand. And I'm sure they have expanded here in 2023, sitting in December. And just another kind of interesting fact, they have 95,000 employees, which was pretty remarkable, across the board. So that is it. That is it for Macy's. I think my biggest takeaway is probably the 1,200 ads. I mean, it shows like, guys, you got to be, you got to be pumping out content constantly. And that's something that with our video content in 2024 that we're going to bring clients, we're just going to be peppering the area with ads, showing ads constantly. You got to show the in-store experience. You got to show people what they are getting when they walk into your store before they do. So hope you took a couple things away. 5.4%. Where do you measure in on that? Where do you fit into the landscape of what you are spending as a percentage of your revenue on marketing? Until next time, appreciate you so much as always for tuning in. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas and wish you a happy new year. We are signing out until 2024 and appreciate you all following Retail Talks here in 2023.